So why would you ask that?
What the
But
heck?
he has not been formally charged with the murders. And also, I guess a lot of people had access to this Anthony, like, underscore shots account, like, not just him.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so gross and
Right.
creepy. And like, I get like a polygraph doesn't really mean
Yeah.
anything, but like, oh, it's like on TikTok, there's like accounts that a bunch of people can log into, and the private videos, like you can
Oh.
post videos
Oh.
just for
Yeah.
you, and it's
Yeah, I knew they look.
a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah, I've heard of that. That would be crazy. But yeah, he said his dad had access to the account too, so that's just even worse. Or like,
Ew,
yeah,
what is with people?
I don't know. People are gross. I mean, I feel like because they had so many suspects and all these fucked up people came out that's like living close
I
to
know, of this little tiny
or
town.
like around the town. Yeah.
Yeah.
But May 17th, 2022, the Murder Sheet podcast obtained a 9-page request from FBI for a search warrant that revealed new details on the murders. So they did ask Indiana State Police, I guess, before they released it. So they redacted some things. But it was disclosed the girls were found dead with wounds caused by a weapon. Well, a redacted weapon. They didn't say what kind of weapon. And a large amount of blood was lost at the crime scene, but also mentioned there were no visible signs of struggle or a fight. And it also said that one of the victims' piece of clothing was missing, although didn't specify what piece of clothing, leading FBI to suspect the suspect took a souvenir to like memorialize the crime scene, because a lot of killers do that. And it also said it appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged at the crime scene. So like after they killed him, he arranged them in a certain way. And it said unknown fibers and unidentified hairs had also been left at the crime scene, so that it could be a key piece of evidence that could be used to help identify the killer whenever they do make an arrest. But October 26, 2022, they did make an arrest officially for Richard Allen. And he is like formally charged with the murders of Abby and Libby on October 28th. And he worked at the CVS in Delphi. So like he continued to live in Delphi after this and was still there.
What the
I
hell? He
mean,
kind of looks like the two pictures. Like,
yeah.
if you combine the two pictures,
Yeah, kind of.
he looks like
I mean,
them.
they haven't had a trial
Not the
still.
hair, but.
They still have not
Oh,
had a trial yet, which we'll get into all these details because it's been pushed out so many. I mean, it's probably going to take years to have a trial. So he is assumed innocent, right, until the trial. But
okay. Allegedly,
yeah,
he looks
allegedly.
like the
Well,
pictures.
but they did arrest him and they are charging him with this. So we'll see what happens. But he had moved to Delphi in 2006 and he had just got the job at CBS like shortly after the murders. And at the press conference on October 31st, they said the tip line would remain open, which is kind of weird. And the Indiana State Police Superintendent said, "We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable." So, like, they're not ruling out that he had help.
Okay.
And they're still asking for tips, like, still today. And also at the conference on October 31st, they could not discuss any evidence and had the probable cause affidavit sealed in the court and said it would not be unsealed to the public until the trial, which is unusual. Because usually that's like public record.
Yeah. There must be something in there.
Yeah. And they're saying because they think there could have been another person, so they don't want to compromise the evidence if they do make an arrest later for another person.
Right.
But yeah, Richard Allen entered a plea of not guilty, and initially he was set for pretrial on January 13th, 2023, and trial on March 20th, 2023. But like that's been pushed back a lot. On November 3rd, 2022, Sheriff Tobe Lesenby filed a motion to transfer Richard Allen from the county jail to the Indiana State Prison because he said his department couldn't provide the supervision to like jail him safely due to the widespread media coverage. And Carroll County Judge Benjamin Diener signed off on the request, and Richard Allen was moved to the Westville Correctional Facility, which I think he's still there, and it's by Valparaiso, which is pretty far. And on this,
It's probably good.
yeah. And on the same day, the judge recused himself from the case due to a storm of requests to unseal the probable cause affidavit. And he also said he became aware of YouTube videos that included photos of his family members. So, like, the public's...
People get crazy
Yeah,
about this stuff.
right. And so the Indiana Supreme Court appointed Allen County Judge Fran Gohl as the new judge for the case. And also because of all this, Richard Allen's wife had to abandon their home, like, because the public was going after her too, so...
That's not fair to her.
I know.
She's a victim too.
Right, and I guess he has a daughter who is, like, grown up, but I don't think she was living there, but I think she's had, like, harassment too. But on November 14th, 2022, Richard received two court-appointed lawyers, Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rozzi. And on November 22nd, there was a public hearing on unsealing the probable cause affidavit because normally, like, these would be public record and available. And I guess the prosecution has to prove to the judge that it's, like, worth keeping it sealed. Like, it's up to the prosecutor to give enough evidence that, like, it needs to remain outside of the public.
Right.
So Nick McLeland is the prosecutor for this, and, like, he said that they have good reason to believe he was not working alone and there could be other suspects involved, and unsealing it could jeopardize, like, the current trial and finding the other suspects if there are any. But on November 29th, Judge Gohl issued a written ruling stating the prosecutors failed to prove clear and convincing evidence, so they released 7 of the 8 pages to the public. So the first part of it goes over, like, the timeline of events, and also states one of the girls mentioned the word gun before the girls were instructed to go down the hill. So, like, that's probably how he got them to listen to him. And they confirmed there was a .40 caliber unspent round less than 2 feet away from the girls' bodies with, like, extraction marks on it, so that's a piece of evidence. And it also included a series of interviews from witnesses. 3 juveniles had been at the bridge around the time of the murder, and they remember seeing a man who was kind of creepy. So I think that's maybe where the first sketch came from. And then another witness said she saw a man on the first platform of the bridge, and she also saw a vehicle parked in an odd manner at the old CPS building. And another witness also said they saw the same car parked there. And then a final witness said they saw a man wearing a blue-colored jacket and blue jeans who was muddy and bloody as if he had gotten into a fight. And this witness had seen the man while driving across the County Road 300 North with a timestamp around 3:57 p.m. So, like, that's probably the murderer, since he's muddy and bloody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if that's actually his car, there's, like, 20-minute walk. Plus, like, the going off the trail, probably a 30-minute walk back to his car. I'm surprised no more people saw him. Like,
I know. It's, like, gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Because her dad was looking
I
for
know.
them basically probably while this was happening.
Right. Yeah, and he could have probably ran into this guy, like, easily.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It also said that investigators had officially interviewed Richard Allen in 2017, and he'd confirmed he'd parked at the old Farm Bureau building, which investigators believe was the CPS building since there wasn't and had never been a Farm Bureau building in the area. And he confirmed he was on the trail between 1:30 and 3:30 the day the girls were killed. And he said he saw 3 females at the bridge, but he's claiming he never saw Libby or Abby. And, like, there was a follow-up question on the interview page saying to identify, like, the 3 girls that he had seen, but there's no indication if, like, police were actually able to verify who they were or, like, if he's just making that up. And then it showed another interview in October 13th, 2022. So, like, they brought him back in, and he confirmed he had been on the trails, and he'd been wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. And he admitted to owning firearms, but he said he didn't carry them with him at that time. And then investigators also talked to his wife around the same time and verified he owned both guns and knives and a blue Carhartt jacket. So they're, like, building the case against him that he was Bridge Guy.
Yeah. And
they had also issued a search warrant of Allen's residence and recovered weapons, including a .40 caliber Sig Sauer P226 pistol, which is a handgun that Allen admitted he never allowed anyone else to use or borrow.
If he was smart, he would have said, yeah, I gave it to my friend.
Right. Yeah, I give it to people all the time. No, he said he doesn't
anyone could have had that gun.
Right. He says he doesn't let anyone else touch it. And a laboratory performed testing on the gun. Like, I guess they can do that. And confirmed the unspent round located near the girls' bodies came from Allen's exact gun to do a significant duplication of random, like, impression marks.
Jesus.
So, like, his gun impresses it in a certain way, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like a fingerprint for a gun.
Right. And the police did have fingerprint and DNA evidence, so, like, I'm sure they've been cross-checking it with his. I mean, they probably already have that evidence at this point because it's been 2 years since then. And also, there's definitely speculation that there's more to the video Libby took that, like, could be used as evidence later. And maybe they'll reveal it in court, I guess, the whole video. But January 23rd, 2023, the court prohibits officials and family from disseminating information about the case to the public. So, like, after that, media organizations kind of challenged the order, but I think they still kind of have a gag order that they're not supposed to talk about anything. And then February 17th, 2023, the trial was moved from March to later in 2023 due to his defense team not yet receiving, like, all of the evidence to go through, because they were still getting, like, stuff in discovery from the prosecutor. So it was pushed to, like, October or something. And then April 2023, Richard Allen's attorneys filed a motion for him to be moved to a closer jail, either Adams County or Allen County jail, because they said the Westville jail had problematic living conditions, and they saw a mental decline in Richard Allen as well as, like, it's so far for the attorneys to travel just to meet with their client. It's, like, 2 hours away from Indianapolis, and, like, the trial's going to be in Indianapolis. Yeah. So they wanted to move him. But I looked it up, and the Adams County and Allen County jails are also, like, 2 hours away. So it's, like, the same distance. Because I was like, those aren't the counties for Indianapolis. But I think they were concerned about his living conditions, too. And, like, if you see a picture of him now, like, he has lost a lot of weight. And he, I guess, is not very coherent, like, mentally coherent. So, but the judge denied the request to move him. Are you looking it up?
I am. Because I'm annoying.
No, that's fine. I should have included
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a completely different person.
Mm-hmm. But the judge denied it, so he's still at Westville, as far as I know. Like, today still. June 29th, 2023, 118 court documents were released, which these revealed a knife was used in the murders. And it also said that Libby's video, you can hear a gun being cycled and one of the girls saying gun. And then court records also said clothing from both girls were missing, including a sock and a pair of underwear. So that's gross. But,